Alright, how's it going today, guys? So, today we're finally going to work on iron. And I wanted to show you guys a few things before we actually get into it. So, first thing is there is vanilla iron ore in the world. You get this in the vanilla-esque stone layers where we got our cinnabar. But when you break this with a hammer or if you crush it, you're actually going to get hematite. So if we hit this, we put it into the crusher, you'll see it gives hematite. Any iron ore will give hematite. Hammering it, hematite. And we don't really want to deal with hematite. We want to use magnetite. But I do have 4 hematite here, just so I can show you guys exactly how to smelt it if you choose to do so. Now I am going to use my hammer and break it down. And I'm hopefully, nope, not gonna get enough. I need 5 of them. So I am gonna have to break one of these irons. Once I can wash them, I will get 5 out of 4. But for right now, not so much. The more you purify an ore, the better output it gets. So right now it's 1 in a 8, if I remember correctly. Or no, it's 1 in just a little under an 8, I think. Let's see. Find the crushed in here. Okay, so crushed ore is 1 in an 8, and then purified is 1 and a quarter. And then if you get to the refined, it's 1 in 1.375. So we need 5 of these. So that'll do right there. And if we look at the actual recipe for iron, which we can look at wrought iron, it's the same thing. We need the combination. Why does that show? Oh, let's look at regular iron. Okay, so iron, basaltic mineral sand, aka magnetite. This is a strange thing Greg did here recently where there are 3 different kinds of black sand. You have basaltic, you have granitic, and you have the regular black sand, which is magnetite. What we have right out there is this right here, which is the granitic, which is what we're going to be using. And as you've seen, that's pig iron doofus. There we go. So we want iron ingot. So we're using the granitic, and you'll see here that it actually says you probably want to craft this into dust, which is exactly right. You definitely want to, because each one of your black sands is worth 9. So if we put this in here, it's going to give us 9 granitic mineral sand, which we're going to put right there. And we're also going to grab our monkey wrench, and one of the features of these barrels is it can automatically output to the bottom So we're going to do that, and it will automatically convert those blocks to dust for us. So then I can break this and take it with me mining to fill it up with other things. So the first thing you're going to want to do if you're using black sand is go out, find some in the world. They're found around rivers, which we have a nice little patch right there. You will notice that they go in the river as well. So it's not just on the edge there. It actually is a pretty good sized patch. I don't know how well you guys can see with the darkness of the water, but this is all black sand down through here and coming back up over on that other side, and it runs all the way down from here to there. So this whole bed, plus if we dig into here, which I gotta make another shovel. We were streaming today and did some more work on the roads. You'll see that it also comes back into the dirt quite a bit as well. It should be too thick, and you can see this comes back pretty well. So one little patch will get you tons of iron, because if we look at the uses for this, it is 14 of them and 3 carbon for 6 iron. So for every 14 of the dust, which you get 9 of from each block, you get 6 iron. So it's very, very useful for iron. That's why I use it instead of hematite early on. There's another reason, which we'll get to in a minute when I actually smelt it, which isn't really a big deal. It's just kind of a inconvenience, I guess. Also, you can also put these directly in, and they will convert. Many things convert in these barrels. Greg has even made it where you can combine wires recently. So if you have like 1x wires and you want to make 8x wires, you can put an 8x wire in the barrel and it will combine any 1x's that you automate in or manually put in. Okay, so now that we went over that, let me grab 8, 12, 13, 14 of these, which you will notice with the iron recipe here that for the basaltic, any of these, magnetite or granitic, it's 14 to 3. And that will not fit in a crucible. A crucible can only hold 16. So this is one higher than what a crucible can hold. Also, right now, we don't have carbon. What we have to use is coal. And by using coal, we need 6 of them, because coal is only worth half of carbon. Now, once we get a coke oven, coke is 1 to 1. So we need to get some coal, which I did go mine some. And again, we're just going to throw this on the anvil because I want exact amounts. You should always use exact amounts when you're doing anything with the crucible. That way you know you're getting exactly what you expect to get. That'll be enough for right now. We need to change out our fuel. We're going to use crushed lignite. I'll put that in there. So what we're going to do, instead of doing the recipe that is 14 and 6, we're going to do 7 and 3. And that'll give me 3. So let me bring this back up again. So combination 14 and 3, but if you're doing it with coal, it has to be 14 and 6. So we're going to do 7 and 3, which will give us 3. So I'm going to do 2 batches of that. That'll give me 6 of them. And I'm also going to put together this dust here, which, by the way, you can use this to pull everything out of there. So set it up and it'll put it right back in for you. There we go. And early on you will have a lot of these tiny and 1/72 dust to deal with. Eventually we will have barrels for each thing, and you can store any different part in there. So if I had, say, iron dust and I had way too much for a barrel to hold, I could put in an iron dust block, and anything from 1/72 up to iron dust blocks could be put in and stored. It's only going to show you the number on the front for the whole number of what is visible on the front. So, like, well, here, if I take this, I put this down here, and we take one of our coal dust we have here, we put that in there, it now says we have 1 coal. If I take these 2 tiny piles, they're also going to go in there. And if I take these 1/72, they're also going to go in there. It still says we only have 1, and we can also only get 1 out. It now says we have 0, but if we put that, we don't have to put it back in, but if we put it back in, you'll see that when we break it, we have a small pile, and we have the 1 coal, which actually popped down here. So it combined the tiny piles and the 1/72 piles, which you can't manually do. It automatically did it with the barrel. So that's another good use for your barrel as well, is that it can make small piles out of 1/9 of a pile and 1/72 piles. Anyways, let's get to the actual cooking here. So we're going to do these 2 batches. I will do the first one to show you, and then the second one I'll, save you the viewing here, because watching a crucible is not always the funnest thing in the world. So I'm going to throw all of these tools up here. I have my pincers and my thermometer. And we're going to throw 7 in, and then 3. And now this needs to get to a pretty decent temperature. For iron to melt, it has to be 1811. And our crucible can go to 25. So we're not going to be getting too hot for the crucible, but we are getting to the top end of the crucible. And so in the quest book here, you have this what to look for, and that is actually the unlock for iron. So you'll want to give that a peruse, click the box, and then that will unlock your iron quest, which is telling you basaltic mineral sand, granitic mineral sand. He's actually missing the magnetite. I have to have that added, and should probably have magnetite or hematite as well. But I'll bring that up to Chubby, or he'll see it here and we'll get that updated in the book. Because it definitely should have the other one. And we are at 1,000 right now. I'm going to go ahead and get both of these down here and ready. Because what we want to do is, as you'll notice that this will drop and it'll go to a liquid form when we hit 1811. And so then we're going to have less thermal mass in our crucible and it's going to go up hotter quicker. So what we're going to do is pour one of them of the 3, so we're not emptying the crucible, and then we're going to throw the other 10 that we have here. Okay, it just went down. So our carbon has now turned to, our coal has turned to carbon, and now we have iron. So we're going to pour one of them, and we're going to drop in the other 7 and the other 3. And there is our first iron plate, which gives us our iron for the periodic table. And now I'm going to let this smelt up. And then once it gets done, we're going to do the hematite so I can show you how it's done as well. And actually I was going to pause this, but instead I'm going to stay here with it because there is one other thing I do need to explain. Done. That'll work. So there is 2 other iron bearing ores. There is pyrite and limonite. Limonite comes in yellow and brown. And both of them have to basically be refined down to get iron. So pyrite needs some advanced processing to get it because it has to be roasted in a roaster. You cannot use it in a crucible to get iron. Alright, so there's our next bit. And for this, I'm actually going to turn it off. And we're going to keep an eye on it that it doesn't go over. If it turns yellow, it's getting too hot. And it's close to exploding. So we're going to wait here just a minute. I used a full ignite, so it's going to burn for a little bit longer. But I'm holding the iron in my hand so I can throw it back in there if I need to. But now you'll see that color is just a hair bit darker. That is wrought iron. Now, in GT6, wrought iron and regular iron are interchangeable. Wrought iron has more durability than what regular iron does if you're using it for tools. It's the same quality, same speed, but it is a bit better on durability. It's also a little bit more sharpness for your possible tool enchantment. But if we look at uses for wrought iron, for like our coke oven that we're going to be doing very soon, you can use a wrought iron plate. And you can also use an iron plate. And you'll see these things are switching around here. Basically, for most of the GT6 things, you can use wrought iron, iron, or steel if it calls for iron. So basically what this slot right here is calling for is any iron screw. And because steel is a refined version of iron, or an alloy of iron, it's just got less carbon in it than regular iron, steel will work. Now, things like Invar is an actual alloy, so that won't work. But anything that is iron, pig iron, if you have it, which you can't make, wrought iron, regular iron, and steel can all be used. And if you have something that adds like that, I think I seen it. There you go. Night metal is in there. Meteoric iron is in there. Meteoric steel is in there. The Aroni thing from that one mod is in there. Anything that is considered by Greg to be iron. And yes, I just did finger quotes for that. Okay, so that's making iron with magnetite, or the other two magnetite types. Now we're going to do hematite next. Now if we hit U on hematite and we go to combination smelting, ignore this first one, we need to do this. So we need 5 hematite, 2 coal, and limestone or calcite. And if we look at calcite, wait a minute, where is it? I don't have a problem, but I have a problem. Marble is calcite. It says right there, stone any calcite. And it most definitely can be used instead of limestone. If I throw that in there, that should give me 9 calcite or something close to it. And we got marble right now. It melts at 1500. We're at 900. So we're going to throw all of this back in there. I'm thinking marble is 1 for 1, but I don't remember. So we're actually going to try it and find out. We're going to turn that on. I'm going to take it up to 1500, which is where it melted at, and we'll see if it drops. I normally use limestone for this, but marble is an option, and I had that blue power marble that I don't use for my floors, so I figured we'd go ahead and try it. But it's kind of weird that it doesn't show a crucible recipe for turning marble into calcite. Alright, it just dropped. We now have liquid calcite. So it isn't 1 for 1. We're going to let this cool off. We'll take it out and we'll see exactly how much we got in there as soon as it gets done cooling back off, which I think calcite might be quite lower temperature. Calcite is, no, 1600. Okay. So we can pop that out of there. We got 54 scrap, and 54 is 6. So out of 9, we got 6. So if we did that, that would be 6. Alright. And we did 9, so it's 3/4-ish. Alright, so if we go back to the hematite, it is 5, 1, and 1. And since we refined our marble down to calcite, we can just throw 5 hematite in, 9 of these scrap, because 9 equals 1. And then it wanted 1 carbon, so that would be 2 coal. So this will give us iron as well. So now you can see why I prefer the magnetite rather than hematite. because you don't have to deal with the hematite. It's not that hematite, or it's not that the calcite, holy crap, words, Bear. You can speak them, I know you can. It's not that the calcite is hard to get. Limestone and marble spawn a lot. And early on, you will be mining a lot of it because that's where tin and copper are in. There we go. That's what I'm looking for. Make 4 more of these. And get that turned on. Okay, so while we're doing this, we already talked about pyrite. You have to have a roaster for it. The other one is Laminite, which I said there's yellow and brown. They are functionally, for iron making, the same thing. It does not matter if it's brown or yellow. But if you look through here, there is no combination smelting. There's only crucible smelting, because limonite is half a hematite. So you have to double whatever your hematite recipe is for limonite. You don't really have to refine it down. It's an equal conversion, 1 to 1/2. So you would, for the recipe we just did, if you're using limonite, you just throw in 10. Alright, now that is our calcite. We're at 16. There's 17. And here in just our, there we go, our coal had just melted down there. And now we only have like 2 in here, so this might heat up pretty quick. So I'm going to hold the iron, and if it turns yellow, I'm going to drop this iron in there to cool it off just a bit, and then we can finish it off. I'm not going to pull anything out. Okay, good. We got lucky. It didn't get too hot. How hot did it get? 23. It was really close to switching over, or to ticking over to where it would be yellow. Alright, so we got our iron plates now, and that is what I'm wanting for the first thing we want to make, which is a crucible. So let me get a hammer out here, and there we are. Not a crucible, a cauldron. I always mix up their names. So that is the first thing we're making, is a cauldron. And we're going to use this to maximize the rest of our ores, because like I said early on, if you clean them, by the way, I keep having spiders, so I turned off my mob sound so you guys didn't have to hear it today. That's why you can't hear that jerk. Alright, so what we need to do is, first off, I need to get water out of here. And I need to get my milk out of my bucket. Now, I have this lignite here. And we're going to take our water, we're going to put it in here, and then just drop in the lignite. So 1/3 of every bucket is what it takes to clean an ore. Now, eventually we will be piping water into this, so we won't have to do this manually. But for right now, this is how we're going to have to do it. Luckily, we live right by a river, so the bucket does not go in there. The ore goes in there, Pookie. So we don't have to worry about wasting our water. And when we set up a drain to to collect water, our river will not be affected by it. So now you'll see we have purified lignite coal, which is 1.25. And I also got 3 tiny purified coal and 4 tiny purified germanium. Germanium we will use for circuits when we get there, and we will also use it for poppers and stuff like that. So, if we go look at the quest book, it only wants iron ingots, not plates, so I didn't get this done. I also didn't hold 14 of these in my hand, so I didn't get it. I think this needs to be refined just a little bit, and the only problem is the more things we add, the more pages that have to be added. But I really think just coal and one of the 3 things, and maybe even the hematite, I don't know. We got to think about this. If you have any ideas, stop into our Discord and put it in the GT6 quest book, or leave me a comment down below. But I think we really need to refine that just a bit so we can get it done. But if we had got that done, we would have gotten this quest done as well. I will probably wait until Chubby fixes this, and then we'll, or not fixes it. It works the way it is. You just got to make ingots. And for the most part, what we're going to be doing, we're not making ingots. If you actually go look, the sifter needs rods. The grindstone needs plates and rods. This, as you see, needs plates. This needs rods. And this needs plates, rods, and screws. So the only thing which isn't actually here that needs an iron ingot is the mortar, which we will be making a lot of this iron stuff in the future, and the mortar is one of the first ones we're going to be doing. I'm going to sit here and cook up a bit more iron manually so we have it for those other things in here, and we will probably automate our cauldron next time. So we're going to be making a drain next time, and I will be making the mortar as well and explaining why it is very important to have. But I think I have rambled on long enough today. If you guys have any questions about anything that I did here today, let me know. I'll be more than glad to answer them, although possibly a little bit snarky, as the dude in our Discord has noticed, since he has gotten a little bit on my nerves. But anyways, I will talk to you guys later. Have a good one. And oh, we may be having an extra GT6 stream this week. I want to get some farming and stuff done. We did do a live stream Sunday where we did some more work. We added that new bridge and did some work over that way, getting to our tin vein. But I didn't make a whole lot of progress, so there may be an extra live stream this week. I'm not sure. It'll still be in the morning, and it'll probably be mainly me getting some farming done, getting some animal pens made, wrangling them up, things like that. But I will see you guys later. Have a good one.